Welcome back, Facebook. Oh my gosh, YouTube! What am I saying, Billy Tucci? We are here for our second doubleheader tonight, our second episode of Crowdfunding Comics, episode 71. And I am pumped, Mr. Tucci. Are you feeling pumped right now?
Dude, I'm feeling freaking wicked cool, man. I'm having a great time. This is our 71st episode, if you will. And of course, graced, by, oh my God, look who's our 71st guest.
Yes. Our first guest.
Our first guest. So
guest.
we've had 70 shows since he last graced us with our presence. He just put on an amazing convention, the Tucson Comic-Con that Deborah and I were at last weekend. What a fantastic show. Great positive energy. Just like Brian. I mean, and so many all black shirts. It was great seeing all these black shirts in Arizona. It was like an army. It was so great. What a fantastic show. I'm so happy for him. Again, my gosh, he's the king of Kickstarter.
The king of Kickstarter and the knight entering the realm of Indiegogo.
Yes, the prince now of Indiegogo. And you know what? Enough of this. Without further ado, please introduce our friend, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend,
Brian Pulido.
Brian. Greetings, people of Earth. Nile, Billy, thank you for having me.
And a happy Halloween to you and an All Souls Day.
That's right. I wish it was Halloween every day. I already shed a tear that we have to wait 361 days.
361, you already know.
Something like that. Guys, thank you so much for having me. Here I am actually launching my first ever Indiegogo. And look, we're virtually unknown on that platform. So Thank you for the opportunity to come out and maybe begin to connect with people who are out in that community.
Yeah, definitely. And did you guys just launch today or was it yesterday?
We did just launch today, actually. We launched at about 3 p.m. our time, Arizona, 5 p.m. your time.
Oh, so everyone is watching, and just so you know, we have a great treat tonight because, typically, we'll interview our guests, and I'm sure you've seen it because this is the third time that we've had the great Brian Pulido on the show. But not only are we going to just check out the Indiegogo, he's going to get into it and show us some of the books here that are on display. So, Brian, if you don't mind, I would just love to jump over to Indiegogo to show everyone because you just launched, and I have to say you're doing pretty well so far.
Well, it's a very, very humble beginning. Again, we are very new to that particular platform. So part of my hope here in speaking with you guys tonight is to introduce this concept. So this is Lady Death, the collection. And this is essentially a great way to jump on board and get a sense about what Lady Death is for people who don't know. And for people who don't know Lady Death is a sword-wielding anti-hero who fights evil in hell, on Earth, and wherever she finds it.
Yes.
And as you look at the Indiegogo, what we're really lucky to present this time is actually the first 10 chapters in Lady Death's Undead Life. We call these premiere editions. And as it sits, so many of them are out of print or nearly out of print. And so what we're looking to do on this Indiegogo is to get all 10 solidly back in print so people could read them. And if we hit our stretch goals that will be announced later on in the campaign, we are going to put brand new foil enhancements on each and every one of these editions. But you know what? That's not all. For Lady Death Collection, we're looking for people to understand the totality of what the character is about. And part of what the character is about is a long history of the top fantasy artists on the planet illustrating her. So we are simultaneously offering 2 naughty-themed art books and then our masterwork, which is Lady Death Masterpieces, a 200-page art book spanning the last decade of Lady Death art, featuring, among other phenomenal artists, the one and only Billy Tucci, my boy.
And thank you for that. Yes, there are a few characters that are as fun to draw as Lady Death, and that's for shit sure, man. That's for sure.
She makes being bad so good.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And I can attest. I mean, the quality of the books you put out, the stories, the art, the paper, the covers, the variant covers, all the different goodies you put together. I mean, for anyone that hasn't backed this, because, he's on Kickstarter, now he's on Indiegogo, and you want to get on it. I mean, jump on the bandwagon. You will not be disappointed. Myself,
Absolutely.
Frank Amazing, we jump on it right away.
Thank you so much. Here's an example. This would be Lady Death Chaos Rules, which was the first ever edition. Most of our editions are at least 48 pages, and they're square bound, and they do feature in excess of 40 to 48 pages of art per issue. And the illustrator on the first 7 chapters was a gentleman by the name of Raj Verma, and then a gentleman by the name of Anthony Spey illustrated chapter 8. And then since then, our illustrator has been Diego Bernard. So it's actually a fairly tight continuity of illustrative talent who's been on this modern era of Lady Death. And as you can see in front of us, here we have the selection of the 10 chapters of Lady Death. And although these are existing editions, again, I want to emphasize that the purpose of this Indiegogo, Lady Death, the collection, is to do upgraded versions of each of these editions. Very ambitious, I understand. So here we have Chaos Rules, Damnation Game, Extinction Express, Oblivion Kiss, Merciless Onslaught, Unholy Ruin, Apocalyptic Abyss, Nightmare Symphony, Scorched Earth, and Blasphemy Anthem. These are all self-contained stories that do have plot threads that do carry forward and accumulate in crazy, wild, epic battles. Let's not get it twisted. Lady Death is a fight comic. It's Lady Death versus the enemy of the issue and all the trials and tribulations and insurmountable obstacles she has to face.
That's amazing.
That's freaking awesome, man.
I love this stuff.
It's just
man.
awesome.
I get so excited when you're on, Brian.
Thank you.
Everything you have out here. I'm like Tiny Nile wants to grab it.
Grab those. Well, like you said, Nile, we do go the distance when it comes to putting together a qualitative product using finest paper and all kinds of printing techniques. But really, that's not all. To us, shipping and delivering the material in great shape is equally important to us. So to that end, although I can't show it to you, you've seen it before. Right now, we're in our headquarters HQ, which is a 4,000 square foot facility, the great majority of which is actually a completely state-of-the-art shipping facility. And through perhaps hundreds of thousands of orders over the course of, since 1991, I've been in mail order, we perpetually refine how to ship books, how to get them printed, how to keep the quality super high. So it's a perpetual obsession for us. So as important as it is to write a cool comic book and manufacture it nicely, getting it shipped and into people's hands in very good shape is equally as important to us.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you now, because like I said, the quality of the books themselves, right? I mean, the paper, everything. I mean, what do you guys go through? I mean, you take that time. You make sure that product that's coming out is, top-notch quality. I mean, do you go around and you paper samples? I mean, what does it take to get the materials for the books?
Well, at this point, I have 28 years in the game, and we have relationships with all types of printers, offset type printers, domestically, in Canada, internationally, digital-based printers, even here in Arizona and throughout the world. And so, yes, as you were saying, what we do is ahead of the project, we develop a quote with several printers, and we're looking at the paper quality, the paper stock. We're discussing whether or not we're going to have a UV coating or not on the front. We're discussing the type of stitching that's going to occur and how it's going to be bound, and actually the printers that do that, which historically for offset is Heidelberg, the type of bindery. And thankfully, we have long relationships with all these printers. So at this point, it's a bit of a shorthand. So we do take our time. I mean, as an example, let's take a product like this one, which is called Lady Death Naughty. And you're going to notice that, let me see, I don't know how much closer I can get it. But what's neat about this book is...
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It's a pretty book covered by Paolo Pantalena, and this actually has a matte velvet finish, and then we put a spot UV coating on the figure. And so that's something that we will discuss in advance during our planning stage with the printer. this other project, Lady Death Masterpieces, which is also complete, it comes in its own printed box, but then to protect it, it comes in its own slipcase.
That's another gorgeous book.
And yeah, we're very rigorous on the bindery. In fact, the company that we hired to print these and the production manager of that company is the finest production manager I've ever worked with. So yeah, we have what's called sewn in bindery. So besides the glue, it's actually bound.
Yeah.
And some of the art, I mean, the art is just a who's who. I don't know how well we can see it, but I mean, as an example, I will tell you some of the people on this book are Billy Tucci, Archer, Mirka Indalfo, Jim Ballant, Mark Silvestri, J. Scott Campbell, Frank Cho, Joe Benitez, Michael Turner. Actually, Michael Turner, prior to passing, actually done a Lady Death commission. We're actually able to work with his estate and the guys at Aspen to get that image in shape so that we can present it to the fiends. Wow. So yeah, this one has a nice little sheen to it too. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Now that's a culmination of all the way back from when you first started off with Lady Death?
This imagery is focusing on the last 10 years. So the Coffin Comics era, we've been Coffin Comics for about 12 years, and we've been producing brand new story content for the last 5 years. We're actually coming upon our 5th anniversary in February.
That's fantastic. What kind of party are you throwing?
Yeah.
It's going to be a big party, as they usually are. Yeah, so for that 5th, I think the last time for our last Lady Death Kickstarter was called Blasphemy Anthem, and we took over an entire film studio. We lit it, and it was bananas. There were hundreds of people there. It was truly phenomenal. So I'm sure we're going to have something special planned for the next one, which is sometime in February of 2020.
That's I mean, it's amazing the testament that in the past 5 years, you've done how many crowdfunding campaigns, how many Kickstarters, and then including this one, the Indiegogo?
Well, gosh, that would be 18, I think. I think right now we have a Kickstarter live for yet another project, which is called Hellwitch. So
Yes.
Hellwitch is a mature reader's comic. And we are about at the 17th day of Hellwitch, and we're tracking ahead of the last Hellwitch, which was called Hellborn. So yeah, I think with this current Indiegogo, we're at 18 crowdfunding projects. And, we are Kickstarter veterans, but we are quite literally Indiegogo newbies. And we're very, very new to that world and to that community.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to flash over really quick so you guys can check it out. Brian Pulido's newest Hellwitch, the Foresaken #1. 14 days to go, so make sure to get over here. I mean, do you want to talk about this at all a little bit while we have it up?
So, yeah, let's do that. So Hellwitch the Forsaken is the second chapter in Hellwitch's origin. And really, with Hellwitch, we're telling the story of a woman who is born in hell. And in our universe, we actually say the native culture in hell are the Hellborn. And they're born in these complex hives, not unlike ants. And the archdukes of hell and demons, they're colonizers, they're interlopers. So our story focuses in on Hellwitch. She began life as a lowly sanitation worker, the lowest caste in her hive. Yet, through trials and tribulations and facing insurmountable odds, she rose up to challenge the queen. In this second chapter, in the becoming of Hellwitch, becoming a supervillain, her mentor, a character named Seance, is challenging her to give up her empathy and her compassion. And that sets the scene for the story that we are telling in this particular tome. Now, we're so lucky to have tremendous contributors. Hellwitch and the great majority of everything we've ever published is co-written by Mike McLean. Yeah. Mike can't be here tonight because he does teach, so he has to get up early in the morning. So I'm taking it on. And it is illustrated by Diego Bernard, colored by Cece De La Cruz, and lettered by veteran letterer Marshall Dillon. Marshall Dillon, who also has lettered all of our projects as well. We have covers and additions by some of the finest in the business. In there, right now, we're taking a look at some of the pages. We have artwork from cover art by Mike Crome, Marat Michaels, Dan Feldmeyer, Nathan Zerdy, Paolo Pantalena, Arif Prianto, Dawn McTague, Sun K, John Boy Myers, Lorenzo Sperlongia, Monty Moore, and many, many more. You will notice that what we call our legend tier featured a beautiful cover image set by Lucio Perillo. And that set was limited to 60 copies, and it sold out quite quick on our first night.
Wow.
So here we are about 17 days into the Hellwitch kick. She definitely is tracking to match or exceed her first Kickstarter. And we do cordially invite people to back it. It's fun. It is a mature reader book. It's for college age and above. Admittedly, it features sex, violence, and naughty behavior. That is kind of what we're known for. And I do. Oh, yeah. And as we're scrolling by, I see artwork by frequent contributor and pal Dan Mendoza.
Yeah, Dan. Awesome.
Dan's the man. So he contributed a set that we call Scissor Sisters. So hopefully we're late at night and there's not a lot of kids up. But they're Scissor Sisters by Dan. That's where our character Hellwitch seems to be getting into a tussle with a character named Lavidia, who serves as her both adversary and love interest in this particular story. There's a beautiful fine art print by Lucio Perillo. Yeah, this guy's incredible. Yeah. So we do the fine art prints that are archival and museum grade. The inks are archival quality. The paper itself is it's about the most expensive paper on earth, if you ask me.
How large are your prints, Brian?
So the fine art prints are 18 by 24, and our standard print size is 11 by 17.
Okay.
And then sometimes we actually do mini prints as stretch goal unlocks. Lord knows we've unlocked a ton of stretch goals on this particular campaign, and that would include actually Hellwitch, the Foresaken Black and White Edition, where I've hand-selected 24 pages from the book where they're shown unaltered, just beautiful pencils, and people get that free for all physical rewards. We've unlocked half a dozen cards, a condom, because and other...
Because you never know.
It's always good to be prepared.
Yeah.
So I think we call that the Hellwitch Hell Yeah condom. And as you're scrolling down, what we have there is our overall credits. So from our various books that we've produced through crowdfunding, this is the credits for all our contributors. So that Kickstarter is going. Yesterday, we did what we called a mid-campaign infusion, and we introduced 2 sets that people have really responded nicely to. One was called the erotic set, and then another one was called the first appearance set. So those were somewhere up towards the middle there. Yeah, you just passed one of them. Passed them right here. That right there, that is the erotic set. Again, our target audience is college age and above, definitely not for kids, but for people like myself who, when I was a kid, I used to be the guy who would show up and at the pharmacy, and they would let me put the comic books and magazines out because they didn't really care, and that gave me the first shot at picking all the comics. But of course, I'm looking at National Lampoon, I'm looking at Creepy, Eerie Magazine, all the stuff I should be looking at. And I'm sure that had a big influence on me.
Yeah. And to answer, so the mob seat asks, is he selling sex or is he selling a story? I'll tell you what, he's selling a story because I have the first Hellwitch book. Yeah. And yes, there's some erotic stuff in it, but it's an amazing story. It's amazing art. And yeah, it's geared, to an older audience. Very tasteful story.
Thank you. Don't worry. We're not doing any X-rated stuff. But I mean, to answer this person's question, man, I'm just going to be straight with you. We sell it all. And it's not really selling. We're telling a story and we're just being guided what we're interested in. Yeah. I do rock and roll inspired heavy metal type comic books, and sometimes it just involves boobs and blood. And just to let you know, I have no apologies for it. So if it's something you'd be into, I totally invite you to come on board. But if that kind of thing turns you off, I get it. I respect that.
Yeah. But as a fan of yours, a customer of yours, and now as a friend of yours, I mean, I'll tell you, it's a great story, great art. There's a little bit of boobs and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. And nothing wrong with that. And very tasteful. It's a tasteful book.
Thank you.
And Diego's artwork is just I love
It's
that
crazy.
He's so good.
It's crazy.
Well, he's tremendous. I mean, he comes from a long history of great South American artists, and Diego's a protege of Ed Benes, and I actually worked with Ed Benes in the 90s during the Chaos Comics era, and I do actually have a long history of working with a tremendous South American artist. We've always been very simpatico, and that would include guys like Ivan Heiss, people know him as Ivan Reis, Eddie Barrows, Mike Diodato Jr. These guys, those guys and others, Luke Ross, these are guys I've really enjoyed working with. And Diego is from the newest generation. We actually have a character of ours named Lady Satanis in development, and we'll be working with yet another wonderfully talented, great storyteller from South America to be announced in the new year.
Outstanding.
Excellent.
Yes.
Outstanding.
So now these two campaigns you have going on, will these be wrapping up the 2019 season for you?
Yeah, so the two campaigns will indeed wrap up the 2019 season. The Lady Death, the collection, will actually close on December 6th. And then we're going to ship all the rewards in February. And then for Hellwitch, the Foresaken wraps up on Friday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. Arizona time, which I think right now is Mountain Standard, 9 p.m. your time, and our intention is to ship in January. So yes, that'll in a sense wrap up the season. We'll take the smallest little break and then get right back into it in the new year.
Excellent, excellent. So now let's get into Lady Death, right?
Sure.
We're on Indiegogo now, right? You might
Yes.
be opening up to a whole new fan base that's never experienced one of the best characters that's ever hit the comic scene. So tell us, who is Lady Death?
So Lady Death began as a girl named Hope. She lived in medieval times, and her dad was a cruel feudal lord. She loved her mother, but her mother was actually abducted by her father and sacrificed to hell for his power and for his benefit. To save her, she chose to renounce her humanity and go to hell. But she's just a medieval gal. So through years of trial and tribulation, she formed into this pale-skinned alabaster warrior who could actually topple archdukes and challenge the very leader of hell, Lucifer himself. And those are some of the stories that we told in the earliest days. Now, in the Coffin Comics era, we find Lady Death waking up from a 20-year spell-induced, cursed sleep. And our story is the mystery of who did this to her and why. And look, Lady Death has a lot in common with characters like Conan, or I'd even say Jack Reacher. Mm-hmm. So I read the Jack Reacher books, and it's never a question, is Jack going to win? The question is, how's he going to win? And when we start off in particular, our story, Chaos Rules, it's a hoot because she just tears her way through hell, and everyone's got to get out of the way. And part of the joy and the fun of the story is, how will she win? So that's a little glimpse into her story. In each one of these chapters, she, in the ever-evolving and expanding what we call coffin verse, we're meeting new characters that have resonance for future stories. So in our second chapter, which is called Damnation Game, we introduce her to a character named Haxon. And I guess in comic terms, he's Lobo-esque, but he's a demon who adores human beings. He loves pop culture, but he's like super buff. He could smash buildings. But we also introduce Lady Death's archenemy, which is the one and only Hellwitch. So Hellwitch does handily kind of take care of Lady Death pretty early on in the story. Let me see if I can get it all the way up there. There's Hellwitch just cranking away on Lady Death there. So that illustration, that art is by Draj Verma, and that sets her up. And as the story continues, we're introducing other villains, or we're deepening the story and introducing actually Lady Death's children. So even the story of like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Begins to be told, and it's told in the story Nightmare Symphony. The story Nightmare Symphony actually is a great jump in time story, that explains the time before Lady Death began her cursed sleep. Our first 7 chapters in the Coffin era deal with Lady Death in hell. And culminates in a massive battle with a giant cast of characters. It's all in. And then in chapter 8, we call that Nightmare Symphony, and it's a break. And it does really discuss the time before Lady Death was in her cursed sleep. And then our recent stories, Scorched Earth and Blasphemy Anthem, bring Lady Death to Earth to deal with an extinction-level villainy of the Trinity. These are massively powerful characters, and it actually takes more characters than Lady Death to face off this threat. And in fact, Lady Death is insufficient because Lady Death is not unlike Conan. She is a blunt object, and she needs to learn teamwork and leadership skills if they ever have a chance of going up against the Trinity. So I realize that I'm sort of going all over the place, but that's a sense of the tonality.
Yeah.
If you like everything from superhero comics, horror comics, fantasy, Conan, that's kind of the recipe of this unique thing that we call Lady Death, who operates in like kind of her own genre, I'd say.
Yeah, that's so. Out of all the books you have out there, I have to ask: is there one on the table that's closest to your heart?
It's funny that you say that, Nile, and I think the answer is it's always the last chapter that we completed. It just seems to be like the one. So, Jimmy, would you mind handing me a copy of Blasphemy Anthem? I'd like to show that to you. I'm here with Jimmy Calabrese, Jimmy Coffin. And,
hey, Jimmy Coffin, what's up?
Jimmy Coffin, what's up? Thank you, Jimmy Coffin.
Hey, Jimmy Coffin, how you doing, buddy?
So, Blasphemy Anthem is our recent most Lady Death.
Yes.
And we're actually shipping it as we speak. And one of the reasons why I adore it so much is the budget on this comic book has got to be at $150 million. I mean, that's one of the joys of comics is we could just, write our own budget. So let me grab a couple of cool pages. And in this one, again, I said that Lady Death really has to bring together this whole group to fight the Trinity.
I love that.
So this is a cool team thing, and look, it harkens back. I mean, I grew up on the superhero stuff the way a lot of us have, but I also really adore the Marvel 70s supernatural characters. So I think you kind of see some of these influences here. Let me see if I have a fun shot of the Trinity. Oh yeah, I mean, there they are. So they're elemental characters who really represent the various elements of Earth, except somewhat evil.
That's so
not somewhat evil, like totally evil.
That book is gorgeous,
it's
bro.
Absolutely gorgeous.
That book is and this is what comics are supposed to be like.
I should hope so.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we have fun doing. This is a crazy double-page spread where one of the Trinity just blasts Lady Death. Yeah. I mean, Lady Death is used to being the ass kicker, but she has a challenge on this one. So I guess, Nile, to answer you, I always seem to like the latest ones, but then also this first chapter, Chaos Rules, is close to my heart because it does represent me getting back into the new publishing game. And sort of like myself, I feel Lady Death is waking up out of this slumber, and that's kind of how I felt myself as well. I had just got out from under the thrall of what I would assert was a cruel publisher, and I was kind of reasserting my power and creative abilities to go back out in the world and make all this stuff. And I think this book there's some subtext there where it kind of represents that as well.
That's amazing.
Speaking of Indiegogo that we were talking, your books are made for Indiegogo because it seems that Indiegogo has a really open-minded audience. It seems. Right now, I mean, they seem to be going it's strange. Like Kickstarter, like a lot of the books that they say they're books of their favorite type of books or books they're reading, books we love. They all seem to be a pretty streamlined type of a genre. Indiegogo, and we've learned this over the 71 shows. It's really a whole bunch of really eclectic creators with things that, like you said, you're doing this monstrous, supernatural, world destroying or saving epic, and a lot of and that seems to be a lot like the Indiegogo books. You know what I mean? A lot of the Kickstarter books seem to be smaller, a little more kind of personal type stories, things like that. And you're just going balls out, full. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like you
yeah.
said,
Yeah, we're full
You're-
tilt boogie. I have, I back some Indiegogo projects and I'm backing more, and I can see that a lot of the creators come from a similar tradition where we all came back maybe from reading super heroic books or books in the last 20, 30 years, and now we just want to do our own stuff.
Yeah.
I would hope too that, how being that we're like a hardworking, wake up, get it done every day kind of company, and we're completely accountable and we always deliver the goods. Hopefully that the Indiegogo crowd can relate to that as well.
Well, you're introducing them to not only like what Billy's saying. It's almost like a lot of indie creators and stuff. You almost get like one shots, or they might have like a second book. But you're saying, hey, welcome to my universe.
yeah.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah.
constantly ever growing and expanding. And you have other books, like Hellwitch
Yes.
and
La
La
Muerta.
Muerta, and
Yeah.
it seems that you do tie these characters in here and there, and
Yes,
it's
we
ever
do.
expanding. So
Yes.
you are literally inviting a whole new audience into your universe, and I think, and from what I've seen, because I've done a kind of like a case study on both, right, and I look at the analytics of everything, and
Mhm.
Kickstarter, a lot of whimsical books and other books, do very well there. Your books do very well there, even though they're not in that genre, but that
Sure.
action-packed, kick-ass rock and roll books, they kill it on Indiegogo.
Yes.
And they have a very hardcore, loyal audience as well. So, I think you're doing a good thing here for these people, and what you have is just like I said. I don't even, what can I say? I back your campaigns. I know
Thank
the
you.
quality of the books, and I've never been disappointed. The only time I get
Nice.
disappointed when I'm like, oh my god, he hasn't launched the next Kickstarter
Well, yeah.
yet.
You know what you do, Brian, is that you treat your customers like customers. You
Yeah.
don't treat them as friends that are helping you out. I mean, aside from you having the greatest story titles of all time for every one of your comic books, we've gone through and we all are aware of the incredible quality and the money that you put back into your production. I mean, people say, "Oh, wow, look at that! He's at $145,000 for Hellwitch, $143,000 in 16 days or so." But look at the amount of that goes into the production of the books.
Yeah, I mean,
Also,
something for your guys' consideration. Like, really, we do take the excess funds and we put it right back into the work or to improve the quality of how we can service people, where we continue to improve our warehouse. And I mean, as a small illustration, I actually still drive the same car. I drive a 2008 PT Cruiser, so it's not like I've really changed my lifestyle substantially. I'm a fairly simple person.
Yeah.
So, but I must admit, I do have this compulsion, like putting the money back into the quality of the books and making
Yeah.
sure that our staff is taken care of and that we have good software, et cetera, just so that we can service people. I mean, look, what you're speaking to in part is that our company and our commitment is everything operates underneath the banner of customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask myself, how do I want to be treated as a customer? And that's something that we're always endeavoring to work on and aspire to. So when I first began Coffin, it was myself, and the first person I hired, who Billy, is Nick G. And Nick G's title was Customer Service Manager. So that hopefully shows you where my priorities are. Yeah, it's all about customer service, taking care of people, treating people how you'd want to be treated, being accountable. I mean, part of it too for me is with these crowd funds, when we get in the funds, I just don't consider it our money until it's in people's hands. So there's that impetus to deliver the goods and that drive to just get it out there to people, because I just don't believe it's ours until it gets in their hands.
well, I'd like to get this out there, and there are a lot of people on right now online. There's a lot of shows going up. I'm getting popped up the people from, and a lot of other shows are streaming tonight too. And a lot of people come back to our show and they watch it. But again, that's what I wrote down, because I wrote fulfillment and I wrote customer service, because you by far are the customer service and the production and the fulfillment of Coffin Comics exceeds Marvel and DC Comics. I think it's unbelievable, the customer service of what you guys do. If a book comes damaged, you immediately ship one out. You
Yes.
guys are always available to talk to customers. You're always available. It seems to be
Yes.
your number one priority is to keep them happy. And
Yep.
again, it's like you said, you call your fans or the fans of Lady Death your fiends, you know?
Yeah, well, there's
And
Part
you
of
know
the
the
it's
song.
classic
enduring.
fiends, and then there's the current sworn. So
Yes,
yes,
it's sworn. So, and I just always stick with fiends. I just love
I
that.
get it. Yeah, because
Well,
you're an OG.
your customer service, and again, your fulfillment, because Nile and I had talked yesterday, I think, and I have one or two Kickstarters that I had pledged about 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and I haven't gotten them yet. And I think I
Yeah.
gave them $50 each or something. Your fulfillment, those people are guaranteed because your comics appear to be almost or completely done when you launch them.
So that's true. What we do is we have historically shipped every Kickstarter with it by the close of the 8th week or sooner, right around there. And this is what we do. By the time we launch a kick, we are actually in position to print. And that means that we've chosen the printer, we've worked out our budgets, and we actually stage the files for review. And as the given crowdfunding project goes on, we take a look and we start making estimates of numbers. And we have we have Excel spreadsheets for all that, so that when we have some data on how it's been going, so that literally the day it closes, the next working day, we're generating what we call the final report. Mm-hmm. And the next day after that, we go to press. That's Coffin don't play. And it's never been like, every time that's how it is. So we're very systematic like that. And I ask for a very high standard. The cool thing is the Coffin crew is all about it. We're all into this incremental, incessant improvement. So yeah, that's how we see it. So yeah, we use the launch as the trigger. All the files should be with the printer. The printer is long chosen. Budgets are all worked out, and what always comes to the end are things like stretch goals, guessing those numbers. So again, it's upon the close, and then we're just going to press on all of it within 48 hours.
Yeah. Now, what I want to touch on, and I don't know if you've seen this. So a lot of the creators on Indiegogo, on many levels, a lot of them connect with their audience via shows similar to ours, right?
Yes.
But you bring in a different caliber of bringing your fans in, because you host convention, you host events, you bring those fans in to basically essentially almost party with you guys. They can come and do that. I would love for you to elaborate for the Indiegogo backers out there that aren't familiar with, you invite them into the universe of Lady Death and all of your other creations, but you literally invite them into your home at points of the year. Your warehouse, your studio.
We do. So look, Coffin Comics is a community. It's like-minded people. It's folks who like to have a good time, who like rock and roll inspired or heavy metal inspired supernatural comics, and maybe we like a little adult beverages every once in a while. And what's kind of grown out of that are events like what we call Fiend Fest, which we had in February of this year, where literally hundreds of fiends from across the world came to hang out and party with us for the whole weekend. We had people from France, Canada, the UK, and all across the United States, either flying or driving in to hang out. Now, a great majority of our Kickstarter launches are events that we host, and we frequently bring fans in. They hang out at HQ with us, or we actually do our launches off-site in different areas. Mm-hmm. When we show up to conventions, particularly shows that like Phoenix Comic-Con or Emerald City, we bring it. And I'm very lucky to say that I've been supported by fiends for as long as 25 years, many of whom I call my friends. Be honest with you, the fiends and the sworn are exactly the sort of people I hang out with in real life, so it makes it wonderful. Where I do see a difference a bit in Indiegogo, and what's new to me is using YouTube as a platform for community and for meeting up. So we actually are kind of old school, and we've used massive mailing lists that we've accrued through the years, and in some of our social media, Facebook in particular. So as we are on Indiegogo and we're new in that world, we're learning that world. And, we come before that crowd fairly humbly saying, hey, man, we're just, we're looking to party with you guys, see what's up, and hopefully get you interested in reading our stuff.
Yeah,
and hanging out with us.
Lee Ditzworth just shared they made me a freaking cake for my birthday last year and sang happy birthday to me live during a Lady Death launch party.
That's true. These kinds of things happen. There's a lot of stuff's happened through the years with us and the Fiends. I mean, honestly, we've had events like off and on since the 90s. One time we actually we closed down an entire amusement park and populated it with Fiends. So we've done some pretty wild stuff in the past. And awesome. We plan to do more stuff in the future. So yeah, the Coffin Vibe is a community, and what I always like to say is, if you get it, you'll get it, and if you don't, that's cool too. But just let us do our thing, and you go do your thing.
Yeah. That's it. Now, Brian, I know you have plans. Is there anything you can share with us about the 10th anniversary in February?
So in February is the 5th anniversary of us being.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. So it'll be the 5th anniversary of all new Lady Death storylines. Now, I can tell you that every February 9th is Lady Death's anniversary, because Lady Death was released to comic shops across the world on February 9th, 1994. So in this scenario, we will be enjoying the 26th anniversary of Lady Death, but the 5th anniversary of New Stories. And all of our new event and our new launch will be tied to the next story, which is called Malevolent Decimation.
Nice.
So what I can tease you is that there will be an event. As we get into the new year, we will reveal it. But what I can say also is that in February of 2021, we actually return with Sworn Fest. So Sworn Fest, we're taking over a whole convention center here in Mesa, and it is a continuation of what we did with Fiend Fest, where we invite people all around the globe to come out and party with us. So yeah, Coffin Comics is kind of a community. I mean, look, I think we could all agree that life is kind of challenging, and we all have our trials and tribulations, and I could totally relate to that. But what we are for people, hopefully, is just like a little break in the eye of the storm, where we could just sort of hang out, enjoy comics, have adult beverages, talk about horror movies, drink beer, that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I think. What I hope my legacy is, Billy, is like at the end, people just say, "Hey, you know what, man? He gave everybody a fun, exciting time," and that's kind of my objective.
That's a great objective, man.
And you sure did. I mean, you sure did. Again, I mean, it's really a privilege being here with you and listening to you. And you're so inspiring. You're so positive. I think anybody that wants to do this, or not even that, but I'm hoping we're getting some people that because I see some of our regulars on here, and they're commenting and stuff like that. And guys, if you check out Lady Death, check out the new Indiegogo. Check out Hellwitch, which I think is really cool, because so basically Hellwitch is Lady Death's
arch enemy.
So you're doing a comic book on the villain. So she has her own title, The Villain. So
that's
you're exploring a villain. So now and now that's really not done. I mean, there's no Doctor Doom title. Right? I mean, I could think of, they did it with Sergeant Rock.
That's what I'm telling you, man. It's a whole universe. You're getting everyone's story.
So you're getting to know the villains, as opposed to just getting to know the villains through the good guys, say,
yes.
Like in typical Marvel comics.
I think people, for some reason, I have an affinity to telling the stories of very, very dark characters, but to show kind of their soft underbelly, some vulnerability that most of us could relate to. And I also say, for our type of reader who tends to be a little on the edgier side, these types of characters are a bit like a wish fulfillment. I mean, let's be honest. None of us can go out there and do some of the things that our favorite heroes or our favorite villains do, but sometimes people like to just experience them through the characters. And that's what I would say is true and wonderful about comic books in general. In comics, we're always dealing with exaggeration, whether it's the idealized male physique of Batman or Captain America, or the over-the-top raging adolescent physique of Hulk, or the idealized female physique of Wonder Woman, or even Lady Death. I mean, this is a space where we could celebrate these exaggerations and just have fun with them.
Yes, exactly. The escapism of it, and the fantasy, and that's what's
Yes.
great about books like yours and a lot of the books that the indie creators are doing right now.
I mean, thank you. Now that you're saying that, Nile, too, I think maybe that's part of what I'm interested in providing, and we are, is escape. Because again, I think the world's a tough place, and we all have our cross to bear, and no one gets out of here alive. But while we're here, let's have a good time, and that's kind of our job, is to provide that escape for just a little while.
Yeah. So now on your campaign for Indiegogo, what are the options here? You can purchase each of these books separate. You can purchase bundles. What do you have going on?
So exactly true. So in the 10 chapters, you could purchase them separately. We're asking $26 a piece, but this is our value proposition. Any given chapter comes with free U.S. shipping, free digital download, all unlocked stretch goals, and optionally, I will sign any of the books that people want. Now, additionally, all 10 chapters can be purchased in one bundle for $200. We also have a Pick 10 print set, so people get a sense of what we do with prints, including artwork by Art Germ and many of our other contributors. And then we do actually, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
We are also offering our trade paperbacks of Lady Death. We call this series Lady Death Lives Volume 1 and 2. They can be purchased separately for $25 or together for $45. They're in the soft cover format, and they're also in the hardcover format. And they're reasonably priced, and they do come together as a bundle. So in the scenario of hardcover trade, you can get up to 7 chapters. So Volume 1 covers chapters 1 through 3. Volume 2 covers chapter 4 through 7. So you could either go the edition that we call Premier. And again, one of our intentions here is if we hit a certain number, we're going to put beautiful foil on each one of these covers. Or you could get them in the hardcover, softcover format, and then you could get kind of caught up on the story. And those are what we're offering.
And you sign all these books, no extra charge.
Right. Yeah, I'll sign anything people want. My feeling is through my signature, I could reach out to people across the globe and kind of get connected. I mean, I love personally signing for people in like other countries, in Belgium or Australia. I find it incredible. So I'm really happy to sign anything for anybody.
Right. Now, let me ask, for anyone out there that's curious with your operation, how do you handle international shipping?
Well, so this is what we do. So for international shipping, we use a special provider, and we ship our internationals on Fridays. We aggregate believe it or not, we aggregate all our international. We make all the boxes. We put them in a bigger box. We use FedEx as an intermediary, and then we use a shipping service which ships them out. This actually allows us to save backers up to about 40%.
Wow.
As opposed to doing the single items. It's because of the volume that we do and the volume of business over the course of a year that we do with our shipping provider. So
very cool.
What happens is you need to get to a level of volume, and then those types of options are open to you. And then also for folks who crowdfunders out there, we use shipping software called ShipStation, and this allows us to manage the large volume that we have as well. That's the other pro tip. And that allows us we get much better pricing than if you were to use just something as simple as stamps.com. We get like much better volume pricing.
Very cool. That's good. Yeah,
I mean,
great.
we have relationships with the folks we have people who make boxes for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the industry standards is a thing called the Gemini. Well, we actually just had that made to our own specifications, and we call it the coffin mailer. Ours is sturdier than theirs. So so we just at this point we actually just make our own boxes to our own specs.
That's fantastic.
I know.
It's pretty cool.
Hey, start controlling more of your in-house, right? You got customer service, you have quality control, right?
Yep. Well, look at it this way too. Like people buy the Geminis, which is a branded box for a certain price. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that by making our own box in volume, the price is 75% less per unit. And so this is a tangential conversation, but our company has also taken on fulfilling other crowdfunding projects, and we're able to pass that kind of savings on to the folks that work with us.
So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, can I ask you to plug that service because
Yeah.
again, you're entering the world of Indiegogo, and there's a lot of
Sure.
big indie creators on this platform.
Yeah.
That's true. So we are taking on fulfilling, and our service is called Quick Strike Comics and Fulfillment. And right now we've completed a year of fulfilling for Dan Mendoza and 3 of his Kickstarters, which have all been sizable. And we've signed several creators that we're not at liberty to discuss because we do this sort of as a private label for them. So yeah, we are Quick Strike Comics. People could get in touch with us through inquiries@coffincomics.com. The full rollout and launch of Quick Strike will be occurring at Emerald City Comic Con 2020, where people will really be able to get a 3-dimensional sense of the services that we're offering in terms of crowdfunding fulfillment. And so that's for the creator, by the creator.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a great service to have out there.
The crazy thing is I love this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I've always loved mail order. I mean, I adore it. So it's not like, for some people, it's like, oh my God, this is the worst part.
Yeah.
And for me, I view it as a craft, and I love it. And we love that we incrementally improve it all the time. So we're happy to offer it.
I mean, think about it, right? The company and the man behind the company is offering a service that not only is something you're passionate about, but it's also something you use because you're doing the same thing they're doing with your comics.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a relatable partnership, I would say, right?
Yep. Yes.
So that's,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, working with creators like Dan Mendoza as an example, fantastic. You know, when we're able to, as part of the service, to consult with people and point them in the right direction for their printers and customer service, some tips on how to manage their customer service, etc.
Yeah. So, Lee Ditzworth, he does ask if you will be doing any more short boxes. He's almost filled all the 10 he has.
So the truth is, we do have a deal with BCW for shorts and collector's boxes. I don't know what the status is exactly, but I'm ready any moment. As soon as we get the template, we'll definitely be doing some new boxes, working with BCW. Like we do a massive volume with BCW for bags, boards, half boxes, etc. So yeah, that was a natural extension too.
Yeah. Let me throw this random question out there. Where is Coffin Comics? So you're hitting 5 years with the new stories and everything. Where are you going to be at the 10-year mark? Where do you want to be?
So the 10th year mark, interestingly, that will also coincide with the 30th anniversary of Lady Death. So that's 2023, I believe, right? And that storyline is, I think I know it. Hang on a second. Give me a second here. So that storyline actually is, let me back up a minute. It's going to be a post-apocalyptic future storyline where Lady Death is thrust into the future. We've been doing a series of covers for years that we call prophecy covers. Ooh. And one of the more popular images is what we call Cyber Lady Death. So it's almost like a Ghost in the Machine kind of vibe, Lady Death. And because of demand and the design, which was originally done by Jamie Tyndall, that is actually becoming a storyline where Lady Death is thrust into the future because of things that happen currently. And imagine this, instead of something like the Terminator future where it's all robots, it's a future where it's all these demonic grim reapers and wolves, and they've just taken over the world. I mean, the world is devastated, and Lady Death is thrust into the future to possibly turn things around, or we all die. We all fall. We will all succumb to the reapers.
You know what I love about the question I just asked? You had the answer for what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So, I mean, what are you looking forward to having accomplished within that time? I mean, is there anything you can divulge that you would love to see? Maybe another direction, adding another event, another product, another form of media?
Well, thank you for asking. I mean, I think, day by day, the work itself is very, very satisfying. I think Billy can attest to that too. And then you kind of look up and it's been a year. But what I would love to see is Coffin Comics in major media. I would like to see the fulfillment of our characters like La Muerta or Lady Death in television or film, but in a meaningful way that our fans would like and doesn't invalidate what we've done to date. And if that happens, that's great. If it doesn't, but you're asking, so that would be kind of cool. I would love to see powerfully some more line extensions as we go into statues, action figures, fully formed trading card sets, three-dimensional stuff like that. And we're very lucky. We have good relationships and we keep making stuff like that too. But I must admit that I'm fairly satisfied with what it is that I do. I get a lot of joy out of it. It seems to bring joy to others. So I don't mind rinsing and repeating either. I do like exactly what it is that we do.
Yeah. Well, that's a
Maybe 5 years, it's be like everything is much more like we're known as being very systematic. We are on time, but I'd love to take it to such an nth degree that, we'll like take off weeks at a time and disappear into the Grand Canyon. Last 5 years has been nose to the grindstone on my grind, and I'm fine with it. But I think maybe a little more time off because, I'm not complaining at all, but my weeks can be challenging. I think, you take an average person and put them in my week, and it'd be a challenge.
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say
well, you've
so.
got this.
Publishing, man.
Yeah, and you do
Publishing's
conventions
crazy.
and stuff too.
Yeah, we are co-owners of Tucson Con, which we just completed. We just completed our 12th annual. My wife Francisca and I have been co-owners with Mike and Teresita Olivares since year 8. And yeah, we are active managers of that event for sure.
Yeah, and I just came back from there Monday night. We got back.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, it was one of the most joyous Comic-Con experiences I've ever had.
I love hearing that, dude. That's our game.
Mike and Teresita are, notwithstanding, are amazing. Hearing Fran over the PA system saying that we have a lost parent, things like that were great when these kids are all crying and it was just it was really wonderful. We had they all treated us like family. Again, your staff was unbelievable, and I recommend everyone, especially Lee Ditworth, to get their way down to Tucson for the next Tucson Comic-Con.
Thank you.
It was amazing. One of the best Comic-Con experiences, and profitable, if I may say so too.
I'm so happy to hear that. That's great.
That we ever experienced. It was just so great. You do it right,
Thanks.
Just like you do your comics, just like you do your fulfillment, just like you treat your fans. You run a comic book convention, and you should write a book.
I don't know if I have enough time to write a book.
You do it.
Thanks for saying that about Tucson Comic-Con. Our objective on Tucson is to be the friendliest convention in the world. So that's what we're after.
Oh, very good. Hopefully I can get there next year. That'll be
come on out.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a great town too, bro.
I know. I've heard great
town.
things of Tucson.
Oh my God, it's
such a fun town. Yeah, I have a lot of pals there too. I was lucky enough to get there for Halloween, so I was able to kind of go rock it out a little bit on Halloween before the con started.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Now, Brian, is there anything else you want to share? We're reaching that 1 hour point.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if there's anything else you wanted to share with the viewers.
Well, I guess I'd like to reach out to the INDIEGOGO crowd, to the patrons of INDIEGOGO and fellow creators on INDIEGOGO. We are new to this game, this particular platform, and if there's any advice, if there's any opportunities to get in front of cultures within INDIEGOGO, we'd be all up for it because I think we're new, we're somewhat unknown in that space. And if there's any way that I could navigate and there's any help out there, we'd greatly appreciate it. Yeah. So I would also say to folks, consider Lady Death the collection. This is a great way to catch up on the character and jump on INDIEGOGO today and back Lady Death the collection.
Back it up. Yeah, and maybe you should look up some other Jersey alumni who have some YouTube shows who do INDIEGOGO. I think.
Okay, cool.
I think you do great on that on those platforms too, and and I'm sure they'd love
all
to have
roads
you
lead
on.
to Jersey.
There you go. All roads lead to Jersey. And just to flash back to the INDIEGOGO campaign, since we've been on it looks like you've had about 6 more backers.
Yeah, we'll take them. Thank you so much. Appreciate
it.
it.
Guys, head over and hey, guys, you know what? I know it's a little late tonight, but share the stream, share it on your Twitter, on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever you can do, and help Brian and his whole team at Coffin Comics, who put out, again, amazing products. He's explained it here. I mean, he doesn't waste a penny on anything. He gives it back to the fans. The stories are great. If you can back the whole collection, do it. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. The only thing you're going to be disappointed in is that you're going to want more and more and more, and he will get it to you as fast as he can. Believe me, they are on time.
You know what I would say too is if people could spare about 10 minutes, we did our video, and our video is a little different in format. It does give you a look inside our headquarters, and we give people a tour. We show how we pack things. Again, another way of just sort of getting people to know what we're about.
Yeah. How long is your INDIEGOGO video?
So the INDIEGOGO video, believe it or not, is about 9 minutes, but it's chock full of, it's very, very juicy. There's, if I may say so myself, there isn't a dull moment in it.
Oh, fantastic. What I will do then is I'm going to air the video at the end of our broadcast here.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll end
Excellent.
out
Thank
that
you.
way.
Excellent. Thank you.
Watching, and then they can also, if they want to watch it again. And if you do go back to our first episode, because Brian, blessed us with being our very first guest on Crowdfunding Comics, where he did go around and give us a tour of his warehouse and his facility, which is amazing. And I'm sure it's even better since we did that. I mean, that was back
always
in
improving.
March. Always improving. So we'll end with that on this episode. But yeah, again, guys, if you can share it, right? We don't always have the funds every month, but you know what? A share doesn't cost anything. You may know one person, 2 people, 20 people, 50 people. But whatever you can do, just help continue growing this wonderful indie community that's self-publishing and doing all these amazing things. I'm going to go back to this screen here. Sorry. And, this is the golden age, right?
It's an incredible time. At some point 5 years ago, I would talk to Billy about this. I didn't even know this was available to us, but that it is. It's we do consider it a blessing. We feel charmed, and we're really having the time of our life too, telling these stories, making these comics. I mean, it's a crazy, beautiful world out there. So you guys have been great, man. I've been Brian Pulido. Thank you so much for having me on. Billy, I love you. You're my boy. Nile, thank you so much. You are my friend. I really appreciate your guys' support, and I don't know what else there is to say except thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, and like Brian said in the jump on that, you see guys out there, you see the positive energy. You see that all he wants to do is about making comic books. Send all that energy towards the good stuff, to creation. A lot of jealous people out there, a lot of haters on Twitter and other social media platforms. The hell with them, man. Stick with your comics, make your films.
That's right.
Make your animation, make your books, your art books, put them out there. You guys can do it. Listen to someone like him. He's the master, and also more importantly, and maybe most importantly for people out there for themselves, is to really look up his fulfillment system. Look at his fulfillment house. What's it called again? Lightning Strike? What?
Yeah, it's called Quick Strike Comics and Fulfillment. And also, if I may say anything, if I'm going to put any kind of advice to anybody, it's like, look, like many people in life, I've had my ups and downs, and I think the name of the game is just getting back up and keep going. Persistence is the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And I think it's a great idea to run his movie, to run his video.
Yeah, we'll run the video at the end.
People want to stick around, please watch it. You're going to be in for a treat because you're not going to believe his facility. You're not going to believe it.
It's really cool, guys. You're going to love it.
Thank you.
So, Brian, thanks again for coming on. And
thanks, guys.
We will continue to push the word on the INDIEGOGO as well as the Kickstarter. Don't forget, Hellwitch is on.
Don't crush me! Crush me with your giant hand.
It's our first tiny host episode.
Right on, guys. Thank you so much for everything.
Right.
Talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Good night, everybody. See you guys later.
Good night. Check out that video. It's good.
Yes.
Sworn.
Hey everybody, my name is Brian Pulido. I'm a veteran comic book creator, the publisher of Coffin Comics, and the creator of Lady Death, the reason why we're doing this campaign. So, are you not familiar with Lady Death? That's okay. Lady Death is a sword-wielding anti-hero who battles evil in hell and on earth. Her comic book adventures have been in print for over 25 years. But in this recent Coffin Comics era, they've been so popular, most of them are out of print. So that's why we're bringing you Lady Death, the Collection. Check it out. So Lady Death, the Collection is a series of what we call chapters of the first 10 Lady Death adventures. They all are about 48 pages in square bound. They feature art, beautiful story and art. And since they are close to sold out, what we're looking to do is to update the covers and do foil enhancements on each edition if we can reach our stretch goal. But that's not all when it comes to Lady Death Collection. Lady Death has a long history of being illustrated by phenomenal artists. So we're also presenting Lady Death Naughty, Lady Death Masterpieces, and Lady Death Naughtier. So these images, as you can imagine, are actually naughtier images by some of the top artists in the field. And Lady Death Masterpieces is close to 200 pages with artwork by a who's who in this world. So again, Lady Death Collection, 10 chapters, all at least 48 pages, some as long as 64, including our most recent Blasphemy Anthem. Here you're seeing the quality of the story and of the art. Check it out. But look, I know we may be new to you guys, so I want to give you a little bit of a tour, get to know Coffin Comics, our base of operations, what we're about. So let's take a look at this place. This place is called the Pulido Archive. It's amazing through the magic of crowdfunding. Now we've been crowdfunding since 2015, but we haven't been on your platform. That's why we're kind of coming to you, reintroducing Lady Death, and having this video where we get to know each other. So let me give you a tour of Coffin Comics, shall we? So come on over. First up, I'd like to introduce you to the crypt. And this is where sales and marketing happens. So, hey young man, do you mind saying hello to the people out there?
Hey everyone, my name is Sako Sean. I am your customer service and sales manager here at Coffin Comics. Here, I enjoy meeting everyone.
So let me ask you a question, man. What's your favorite pop cultural thing?
So I would definitely say besides Batman, it's got to be The Walking Dead.
Super cool, man. Well, also, hey man, the guy's been manning the camera up until now, the one and only. Say hey.
Hey, it's Jimmy Coffin. I'm the marketing manager here at Coffin Comics. My favorite pop culture thing is monsters and horror movies.
Yeah, man. I love the monsters. I love the horror films. That's something that we have in common. So, hey, let's continue our tour. So you saw the crypt. Now come and take a look at the Coffin Comics shop. And it just so happens that I have another person here who's been here since the very beginning. Hey man, you mind saying hello to the folks? Tell them a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, my name's Nick Agos. I'm the editor here at Coffin Comics, and my favorite pop cultural things probably video games, mostly Nintendo stuff like Mario and Zelda.
So Nick and I have been working together since 2008. When Coffin Comics was just operating in my extra bedroom, I would call Nick up and say, hey dude, I have about 10 hours of work a week. And then it went from 10 to 20, and then we graduated from the one bedroom, and then we got inside like these storage units. So we ultimately worked up to 3 storage units that we were kind of more or less gray legally occupied. You remember that?
Yeah, we got told one day.
Yeah, we finally got kicked out, and we got our first office, which was 700 square feet. We were like, 700 square feet! And then as soon as we got in there, it coincided with the first time we crowdfunded stuff, and we realized, oh my god, it's not enough space. Hey, Nick also recently was our customer service manager until recently. He did a stellar job, but Sean is going to be a great person to replace him. Anything else you want to say to the people?
No, thanks for considering our wares. I hope you guys like them.
Right on, man. Well, let's continue the tour. So, Coffin Comics HQ here in Mesa, Arizona. You're taking a look at some of our most recent works. We get to work with some phenomenal artists. But now, when we go into this room, here's our warehouse area. So this is our warehouse area at Coffin Comics. And, hey, first up, I'd like to introduce you to this young man. Say hello to the people.
Hey guys, I'm Coop. I'm the resident badass. I do everything around here, make boxes, put bags and boards. Put boards and bags, actually. I do everything that they asked me to do.
Everything legal.
Yeah. Right now I'm wrapping cylinder contents.
Fine art print. Hey, do you mind showing people your tattoos?
Yes, I'm into everything Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel, man. Captain Marvel, Galactus, Goblin, nice Kirby surfer.
Yep.
So great, man.
This is my life. This is what I do outside of teaching.
Coop and I have actually been pals and working together for 20 years plus. Hey, while we're here, take a look at the tombs. The tomb's actually where we kind of keep all our boxes because, you know, you got to box this stuff up. If you take a look at this room, you're actually looking at what we call the assembly room. This is where, when we receive material, we'll do things like assemble a stretch goal pack or assemble orders, or where I myself do some signing. But hey, I noticed this young man over here. Say hello to the people.
Hey everybody, I'm Julian. I'm here working in the warehouse, packing some orders to ship out to all of our customers. I'm also really big into Godzilla, Japanese monster movies, Mothra, Ultraman, you name it. That's what I'm in for.
Yeah, man. So Julian and I go way back, like a lot of folks here at Coffin, and what I always like to say is we're a couple of pop cultural barnacles. Is there some truth to that?
There's very big truth. We've been doing this for a long time. Quarter century now, right on?
Quarter century.
Yes.
Yeah, man. All right, so this is the assembly room, and now we're going to take you over to where the magic happens, man. This is where we receive stuff, where we pick stuff, pack stuff, check stuff, ship stuff. So check it out. Take a big look. This is the Coffin Comics warehouse where we receive, pack, and assemble. Folks here today are packing a whole bunch of orders, and I see this fine young man in his winter flannel. You mind saying hello to the folks?
Hey guys, my name's Randy. I'm one of the order fulfillers here at Coffin. I have been in comic books all my life. My favorite character is Batman, of course. How can you go wrong?
Batman, of course, he says. Okay, we'll see about that. Right on. Randy, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you see what'll happen is there'll be a given order that Randy gets, and he'll go around and pick the various items that are associated with that order. And here's another fine young lady that we have a long association with. You mind saying hey?
Hello, I'm Jerry Lynn. I fulfill orders here at Coffin, and my favorite is Superman.
That's awesome. And hey, once an order is picked, then it goes over to being checked. And it will be checked by this young lady. Mind saying hey?
Hi guys, my name's Dakota, and I am the warehouse assistant here at Coffin. And my favorite pop culture thing is probably Harry Potter.
Nice, a Harry Potter person. Well, you know, I know that a lot of people who order get concerned about how their stuff is shipped. Could you show folks a single item order and how we would pack it?
Absolutely. So basically, we have what we call our coffin mailers, and basically they just fold in like that, and we take a book and we put it in the middle, and we fold it. Really simple. No big fuss required, and then we just save it like that. It's nice and safe, nice and secure. Not going anywhere.
Yeah, nice sturdy cardboard mailer. Well, thank you so much, Dakota. Dakota also is a phenomenal picker, and as arcane as comic books can get, she knows almost every single iteration of all of our books. Fair to say?
I don't know about that, but okay.
All right, cool. Well, look, all this really couldn't happen without the tutelage and the management of the one and only Brandy Reese, who is our warehouse and fulfillment manager. Mind saying hello to the folks?
Hi,
Brandy?
everybody.
So this is Brandy, and would you mind telling everybody your favorite pop cultural thing?
New Kids on the Block.
So I love how she says it so painfully, because she's like the white.
Because they know.
Because she's the white sheep of the family over here.
It's true.
Hey, that's cool. So let's get another look. And this is our warehouse, which is open all the time, doing all the things, getting the things done. But let's bring this back to our main reason for doing all this stuff, Lady Death the Collection. I wanted to show you HQ what we're all about, so you kind of get a sense. Who would you be backing? Who would you be, who the heck are these people? So we come to the part of the video where I gotta say, please pledge now. If you think that this would appeal to you, tell your friends, tell your enemies, pledge, pledge, pledge. We thank you so much for your consideration that you would even consider our wares. So you've been great. We've been Coffin Comics. Please pledge today.
There you have it, guys. So check this out. Hit up Brian Pulido's Lady Death the Collection on Indiegogo. And don't forget, Brian Pulido's newest Hellwitch is live right now on Kickstarter. So again, everyone, have a wonderful night. We have a whole bunch of shows lined up next week. And we will see you all next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Good night, America. Sleep tight. And don't let the bed bugs bite. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell, you may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.